How are we doing? I have been MIA for a little bit. I'm so sorry. I'm currently prepping for our craft fairs at the moment that are happening with the market, so I've been rather busy and I've not had a chance to do a video. So I'm going to do a quick one for you today, as I was helping a friend doing an HTV project, and she came across a few issues as she was doing her project and she needed some answers. And so I sat with her and had a great time going through the difference, the pros and cons, and all the things that I learned. So if you'd like to sit back, have a seat, make yourself a cuppa, get some bickies, we are now going to talk about how to use HTV, because we all think it's an easy process, and I personally do, but that's because I've done it. But if you're learning, you are going to want to sit down and watch this video and figure out how to use HTV, the differences between the different types of HTV, and I'm also going to go through explaining to you fabrics, what works best with each product and what my recommendations are. So let's get stuck into the video and I will talk you through these processes. Okay, so directly in front of me is a container of just HTV scraps, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through a few with you. So this one is a glitter, so let's get a small one. Okay, we've got a glitter and some metallics. Let's choose this one here. This one's a thinner metallic, this is slightly thicker, so we've got two types of metallic. We've got this is puffy HTV, that's what that feels like. This is just your normal everyday iron-on HTV, and then we've got a decorative one here. So I'll just put those HTVs down for you to look at. So basically what we're going to do is I'm going to first of all show you which way on the mat you're supposed to put your HTVs on and how you can check. So if you have a weeding tool on hand, which I don't, just grab one. So if you've got a weeding tool on hand, you can always just check. So with HTV, I just usually grab the corner. And you see how it's just started to pull away, okay? So this side's not sticky at all. So that tells you it needs to go down on your mat this way. So your fabric or your cutting side is your HTV on top, and the plastic side is your protective cover, okay? So that is how you would position glitter vinyl, okay? You place it on your mat face down. Now this is how you do all of them, but sometimes it can get a little bit confusing. So here we have a piece of, this is I think puffy that I've got. I'm just going to grab the corner, just put a little hole in it just so I can pick it up and see. So when I pull it away, you'll notice your liner has, you can hear it, do you hear that? It's a sticky, it's got a little sticky layer. So this piece here is actually sticky, and that is what is going to stick onto your clothing, but this piece is not. This is the piece that you heat up, that presses onto your fabric, okay? So that way you know when you put it on your mat, it's again shiny side down. So your mat side would be pointing up, okay? Now it's fairly simple to work that out on your holographic, because when you look on one side it's very shiny. So that's the side you want to be looking at when you press it. You want to see that on your fabric when you take the plastic liner off. So in order to cut it, we place it face down with our mat side, and again you can check which side has the vinyl on it by just putting picking up a little corner, and I try to stab it if I can, but sometimes this stuff, especially metallic ones, can be quite tricky to weed out if you haven't done them before. So there you go, you can see that's your fabric on this side and that's your top. So you then know the difference between which is fabric and which is liner. So then you place it down on your mat and you cut it out. Exact same thing for all of these. This one's just your normal, so your colour side would be the side you'd want to see sticking up on your garment, and the lighter side, which usually has got like a white backing on it, you can tell is going to be the piece that is pointing up on your mat. So if I get my mat for you, and I'll just give you a quick show. Okay, so this would be your mat going into your machine. You'd have your vinyl and you'd be placing it in this direction. Okay, so when it comes out, you weed it with this piece being the vinyl on top, like so, and this is your carrier sheet underneath. So this is what your machine is cutting. It's cutting out on here so you can weed it out at the other end. Okay, so that's how it would look on your mat. The exact same thing goes for these ones. So this one's got an image on it. Sometimes you get little bubbles in them. You may need to push those out with a spatula or something when you put it on your mat. But you basically put image facing down on your mat and you would press it down into place. This one hasn't been used, so it's a little bit dusty. It's been sitting around. And you try your best to push out any bubbles that you would have in there, obviously. And so this then would go through your machine and you'd weed it out exactly the same as you would all the others by taking a corner, poking a little hole in it and pulling it towards you, and then you can see your image is on that side. Okay, so that is showing you the difference between vinyls, what they look like and how they should be positioned on your mat. So I'll just roll this off. Place that back on. Okay. So sometimes finding out the temperature for your project can actually be quite difficult, and especially if you're using different substrates. For example, this material here, this is not a Cricut brand material. This is just an everyday iron-on that I purchased online. And then you've got these ones here that I've purchased, and they are a holographic foil. And sometimes you think, how is this going to respond, and what temperatures do I need to set my machines to? So what I've done is I've actually gone onto the internet and I have found myself heat press guides, and these are really good. And what I've done is I've gone and printed them out and I've put them in a folder, and they do a breakdown for you. So this one here is for Cricut. Obviously this is for using the Easy Press Mini, but any machine that you use as a heating device, these usually are pretty accurate. You can go through, those are just for the Mini. And then I've got the larger one here, which is for your Easy Press 2, which has the mat and the heat temperatures for that. So I actually have a link for this in the description below, so you can actually download these, and the place I got it from is called Snip to It, and you can print them out and have them ready for yourself. I'll also show you how you can find these settings in your Cricut menu as well, and we'll do that shortly, but I'll just quickly show this last one. So Sizer, they have their own settings, which is different again to what Cricut settings are, because they cut out differently and they read out differently. We're mainly covering Cricut in this particular video, but I do have a link for the Sizer HTV application instructions as well, which you can copy out and print and pop in a little folder, and then you've got everything you need, and it covers your application process by using a home iron, by using a heat press, and then also your laundering instructions, which is actually really good to know when you're working with different materials or different mediums, how they're going to react with washing and so forth. So Sizer have done their own, which I've grabbed, and then I've also printed out from the Snip to It website. They also had the HTV temperature guide, and this is just like your basic guide for some of the ones that they already use, and going from your easy weed right the way down to your glitter and your holographic and your metal, sparkle and your twinkle type materials, because there are a lot of different types of HTV that you can use, and it's nice to know the temperatures for those. Okay, so there's a link for that also, which you can print out. Okay, we're over in Cricut Design Space. I'm just going to show you how you can find those heat temperatures. So you'll actually see that if you're on your canvas at any point, you think, I need to know my heat temperatures, I've just done my project, just go to this top corner here to where it says home and click on that, and then you'll notice you've got all these little things that come down here. So you've got your Cricut Access Guide, but this here is your heat guide. So when you click on your heat guide, it's going to open you up into, I'll just bring this across here, full screen. It's going to take you to a whole new screen, okay? But that's okay. You just scroll down to the type of machine you're going to be using. You may not have these machines, you may be using something different, but it's always good to kind of have an idea of what machine you're going to be using. I'm just going to click on the Cricut AutoPress because it just is just an easy way of fixing the type of machine. Then you can click on your material. So I'm going to be using a heat transfer material, and you can go through. As you can see, there is so many. So you've got your everyday iron-ons, and they come in glitter, they come in foil, they come in a holographic, you've got patterned. So Sport Flex is one we're going to talk about shortly, glow in the dark, printable iron-ons, all the way down through to your smart materials, which are on already on a mat that you don't need a mat for your machine. That's Maker 3s are the only ones that works with, and then also with your Cricut Joy, that's the only other one that I'm aware of at this point that uses it. There may be more machines after this video. And then you've got your infusible inks, and they've got the options with the marker on copier paper or the inks on transfer sheets, which are the pre-designed images. So when you pick one, so we're just going to go Sport Flex for example, and then it's going to ask me what type of material, so then I can click on here and choose my material, and these are your options for Sport Flex. You've got your cork, your neoprene, your nylon, polyester, t-shirts, pillowcase, wine bag, whatever suits you, and then you've got these are, it says Cricut blanks because these are ones that you can purchase from them. Usually when you're working with Sport Flex, these are the best products for it to go on. So I'm just going to click polyester, and then it's going to say, am I using a mat? And I'm going to say yes and apply. And then it will bring it up for me, the temperature guide. Now, if you're working in Fahrenheit, that's perfect. If you're working in Celsius, just click it across and it'll give you the Celsius, 150 for 30 seconds. So this is a great way for you to learn how to find temperatures on the Cricut website or on the Cricut page. If you're wanting to work out how to do it on different things, it works with your mug press as well. Go to your mug press and it's going to ask you what you're going to use. So we're going to go with infusible ink on paper. And then these are your options, and the blank at the moment obviously are only a Cricut mug, but depending on machine you have more options with whatever you choose to apply it to, and you'll notice it will change per the material. So this one here I've chosen glow in the dark iron-on, and now I have an option for cotton canvas or cotton poly blend or 100% cotton, which I didn't in the previous one because it's telling you what blanks it is good for you to apply that product to. If I had chosen a different material, it would give me less options. Okay, so hopefully that helps you in the process of setting up for your heat process. Okay, so we've talked about where to look for your temperature guides. Obviously I've got that in the listing below. We're going to then talk about different fabrics and how they respond to the material that you're working with. So let's say, for example, you are just going to work with, say, glitter. Now glitter's really nice, it's good on all fabrics, you can pretty much put it on anything. It's even good on a stretchy fabric, but the only thing about the glitter is it does not stretch. So once it's on, it will be a tight fit. So if you're wearing something that's sort of a bit stretchy, this is not going to stretch and move with your shirt or whatever else. It's going to give you more of like a heavy solid fitting, and it's not going to move around. Okay, there's a product called Sport Flex. Now Sport Flex is really good. It's a strong bonding product. It works really well with things such as any stretchy fabrics. I've written down here leotards, leggings, caps, yoga tops. It's recommended for polyester or nylon base, so anything that has a slight stretch or a big stretch to it, you will find the Sport Flex will be the best one that you can use. So if you're going to be cutting out lettering and things like that, it's going to move and stretch with the item. It's not actually going to split because as it stretches it's got that movement, so it's not going to split and break off. So that is your best product to go for if you're looking for something that's going to move and stretch with you. Say you know, like I say, wearing leotards or tights or something like that that's going to stretch, and you want the imaging to stretch with your clothing. That will be your best one. You've got your everyday iron-on, and this is pretty good for most items. You can put it on just about everything, except for you are a little bit limited in the stretch. There is some give, so it will stretch a little bit. I'll just get one. I'm going to quickly weed it out, and I'm going to show you what I mean. So I've just weeded this out for you just so you can see. But when it goes on your product, you'll see it has a small amount of stretch, but not a lot. Okay, so it will stretch, but it won't keep its memory as well as if you were using that Sport Flex. You'll notice that it has stretched to the extent that it's sort of rippling a little bit, and that will happen if you put it on an item of clothing that's going to be tight and you're going to be, you know, stretching it, and it's going to be pulled in all sorts of different directions. You'll notice it's okay, like it's coping with that, but it won't keep the memory of what its original shape was. You'll see it's a little bit distorted now. So that's what happens when you're using your everyday iron-on. It does a great job on anything that doesn't require too much stretch. Okay, so that's what you're going to have with your everyday iron-on. So when you're doing your everyday iron-on, the sort of fabrics or material I would recommend that you use that on are things such as hoodies and t-shirts. Loose fitting t-shirts, obviously not tight ones that are going to stretch, because then you're going to have that distortion. Tracksuit pants, you've got basketball caps or caps, whichever you would call them. Bags, anything that's 100% cotton is perfect for this because it will bond really well and you don't have any worry about it moving around. Also such things like pillowcases, pencil cases. You can also use your everyday iron-on some other surfaces, such as like a metal cup or a glass cup or something like that, that can cope with the heat. It will adhere to that, so it does work with it. I can't promise longevity. I've never tried this particular product. There is actually another product that I would recommend for using on harder surfaces, such as your glass and your wood and things like that, but your everyday iron-on is pretty good. It covers most material. So then there's another one called infusible ink iron-ons, and they are really good for if you have, say for example, a cup. We'll go with a cup, and I'll pop a little image. Where am I going to put it? I'm going to pop it up here. I'm going to pop a little image up here of a cup that has been sublimated using your everyday iron-on. And what happens is you put it through your Cricut machine, you'd cut it out, and you'd wrap it around your cup, and then you would heat press it either in your cup heat press or mug heat press, whichever word you prefer to use, or you'd use your infusion oven, which I currently have one set aside personally just for when I want to do sublimation on something, because I don't want to use my kitchen oven because it's dangerous. We can get into that in another video if you'd like to discuss why you can't use your kitchen oven to use your infusible inks in. I can bring that up, just pop it in the comments below and we can talk about that as well. But basically I just want to cover these simple ones for you now, just to get you started, get you into the process of working with these materials and decide which is the best one for you for the project that you're working with. So infusible ink is really good. It has lots of different purposes that you can use it for. It also comes in pencils, or pens, and it comes in paint as well, so you can also dabble in that if that sort of interests you. If you'd like to do hand-drawn things and then sublimate it that way, you can also do it. And the infusible ink iron-on, when it's on a sheet, I actually did a video of doing it on a couple of pencil cases, and I'll pop a little video link up here showing you the pencil cases that I use that pre-designed infusible ink HTV on. I found it's really good for things like pillowcases that are polyester polyester blend pillowcases. And another really neat one that I really enjoyed working with, I made a blanket for a friend, and I'll pop a picture of that up, and that there was a polyester blanket, and I sublimated onto that, and that's a really cute thing you can do also. So infusible inks, anything sublimation based, it goes a long way. It's very creative, and then you also don't require the skills of having to say print it out with a printer. It's already done for you on a roll, and you can pop it through your Cricut machine and you can cut your letters out. You can do pretty much anything with it, and it's a great little asset to have in your craft room. So I also really do love infusible ink on your HTV rolls. I've written down a link that I found online explaining what HTV iron-on is, and what it is HTV stands for heat transfer vinyl. Okay, it's a specialized polyurethane which is heated, and when it's heated it activates an adhesive which is on the back, and that is what bonds the product to your fabric or the substrate you decide to use. And obviously I showed you which side you press. You want to press with your image pointing up, so the color pointing up, and this side here, this is actually that adhesive side. It's not now because it's not got any heat on it, but once you apply heat to this, this is then going to activate and turn into like a glue, and then that's going to bond to your product. So when you press it onto your item, and I'll just go to my overhead camera for you to see. So when you're pressing your image onto your item, it's the opposite to when you put it on your mat. You've placed it into your mat this way with your mat side up, and you would weed it out, but when you go to put it onto your item, it gets pressed with shiny side, or that's protective coating, this big plastic sheet that's on top, that goes down with it pointing up towards you, and you put your heat press on top of that. Because otherwise, if you were to put it the other way, which is this way, you activate that glue and it's going to glue to your heat press. It's the wrong way around. Okay, and usually it's pretty straightforward. You're going to start weeding this out, and you're going to look at it and you're going to say, okay, my letters are going this way, so they're facing in the right direction, so obviously I need to press it this way. But you might have images that don't have letters and you'll get a bit confused. That's where this is a good explanation for you to see that it will be your shiny side pointing up, so your imagery. So this is how it goes on your mat. Once you've weeded it out and you press it on your item, it gets pressed this way with your image pointing to you, heat press on top of the image. Okay, I think that's pretty straightforward. Most people can kind of understand that, so that should be sufficient. One thing I wanted to talk about with the everyday iron-on, you've got different aspects that this can go on. So I did a quick Google with Cricut to see what the Cricut products cover, and so I actually went to the Spotlight website, and on there it gives us a breakdown. It gives us a breakdown of the products of HTV, how it works and its purposes, what it's useful for. Okay, so I looked up everyday iron-on, and it says that this is great for woods and metals. Obviously you don't want to be using it on things like plastics, or maybe plastic that's non-perishable, so it can be put in the dishwasher, or it's not going to melt when heat's applied to it. So you want to check and make sure that that's okay first, because you are using a product that requires heat. You cannot apply this without heat. Okay, so you do need a heat source. That's why it's called heat transfer vinyl. Okay. It's really good for things like your mugs, pillowcases, pencil cases, and so much more. So obviously everyday iron-on's a really good starting point if you just want to start out and learn about HTV, what works. And then we've spoken about infusible ink, we've talked about your normal iron-ons, and we've talked about the Sport Flex, and we've also talked about the glitter foil iron-on. So hopefully that's given you enough information to go away with. If there's any questions after this video and you're a little bit confused, I'm hoping I haven't confused you, and you want to know a little bit more about different types of HTV, I have a few more that I can use, but I didn't want this video to be too big. I just wanted to quickly pop something up for you to have a look at, because I have been rather busy with the market, so I've had limited time as to what I can put into doing my projects. So this is why I'm just doing a quick one for you. And also I was sitting down with a friend and I've been teaching her a little bit about HTV and working with it, and there were some questions that she came up with, and it was actually really good because it's helped me to find some of those answers for you, and then I can share them with you, because when you're using HTV all the time, you just automatically do it and you think everybody automatically knows how to work with it, what it looks like, what it does, how it responds and all the rest of it. And obviously it is not that way. There is a learning curve. And also, if you make mistakes, don't worry, it is just a mistake. We've all made them. I made hundreds of mistakes when I first started out, and I must have wasted a large amount of material just learning. There's nothing wrong with that. Sit at your computer, get on Cricut Design Space, find something that you want to do and just do it. Don't overthink it. Don't stress about it. Don't think, oh my gosh, if I get this wrong, it's going to be ruined, that's the end of it all. It's not that way at all. If you make a mistake, you can remove HTV off of your clothing. And it's a fairly simple process. You just need acetone is what I use. And I will tip my project over upside down. And on the back of it, where it's bonded, I will spray it with the acetone, and it actually melts the glue. It starts breaking that bond down, so when you want to take it off, you can then just pull it off, no worries, and it's not damaged. Another method, and I have heard people doing it, I haven't done it myself, but that is using your heat press and placing your item on top of it, heating that glue back up again, and then pulling the glue away from the clothing. That is another thing you can do. I can do another video on those two processes if you'd like to see them happening and seeing which is the better way to remove something if you make a mistake. Please also pop a comment below based on that information. So that's me for now. Thank you so much for sitting there and taking a bit of time out of your day to learn a little bit about working with HTV and what it's all about, and I hopefully have answered all those questions. So we would like to say thank you very much from Selena's Crafty Lab here, and we're asking you all to have a great day because it is a beautiful day out there, and we would like you to continue on crafting, people, and we will see you in our next video. Bye.